Hello and welcome back, everyone. We are here to talk about the next update, and with us we have Jean. Jean, how are you doing? What happened to your glasses?
Something. Well, you know, discussions in the design team. Sometimes they get a little heated. Sometimes you really have to fight for these ideas.
Okay.
That's or I sat on my glasses. Who knows?
It's either one of those, right? Yeah, but thankfully you made it. You pieced those together somehow just to make it work just for this recording. So everybody watching at home, yeah, Jean really put in the effort to be here and tell you what's coming with update 10.2. You're watching this probably on a Monday. That means the patch is coming out tomorrow. But before we get into 10.2, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about the tendencies when it comes to recent patch notes and kind of how we do patching. Let's get into that then.
Absolutely. So it's something that players probably started to notice, but we've started to have this tendency of focusing more and more our balance changes on very specific archetypes for picked for the patch, right? And it's an approach which we think is better because we think it allows us to have more control over how we address these archetypes, and also is more exciting for the players because then the changes are more meaningful. The thing is, they do require more time and more coordination to be thought over. And what it means is that we're not able to touch every faction in a patch, right? We're only able to touch a handful of archetypes at the same time. And the example for the previous patch was Northern Realm and Skellige, which didn't get much. So what we want players to know is that if a faction does not get changed during a patch, it doesn't mean we think the faction is perfect. It doesn't mean that we think there is no archetypes that would deserve love in that faction. But rather what we want players to know is that they can interpret that as a promise that more exciting stuff will come in the future for that faction.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you guys are kind of going, like you're choosing in a particular patch which factions you want to focus on the most. And then if a faction does not feel like, players might not feel that some faction didn't get the love, care, and attention that it deserves, that means that is coming later on. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Though we usually think more about the archetypes themselves, like which one would, which one can we try to focus on, right? And the fact that we're focusing on a specific archetype doesn't mean that there isn't any other archetype that we should not be focusing on, right? It's just we gotta take things one at a time.
Yeah, makes total sense. Okay, thank you for that nice introduction. And I think without further ado, we should probably review some of the balance changes which we're introducing with 10.2. Full patch notes also should be coming today. And then we kind of will jump into the archetypes we're touching this month, so you guys know what's going on. And I think we'll start with neutrals, right? So what's first on our menu? I'll be showing the things, you'll be talking about them. Viggo's muzzle.
Muzzle, yes.
Okay, here we go.
So, Viggo's muzzle. So you want me to say what changed? Okay.
So provision from 11 to 10, sees value from 5 to 6. Now,
exactly.
John, tell me why.
Yeah. So with this change, it's a bit of an experiment. We're curious to see if Viggo's muzzle can set itself as an alternative to Heatwave, right? Because Heatwave is also a 10 provision card. The thing is, it's way less flexible, obviously, because Heatwave makes anything disappear. But what's interesting is that Viggo's muzzle is going to be better in specific scenarios where these two cards overlap. So we'll see how things evolve.
Nice. And that is it for neutrals, right? Just this change.
This is the one we want to highlight. Yeah.
Nice. Moving on. Best faction in Gwent, Scoia'tael. So we'll start with the buffs here, if I remember correctly, and we will start with Great Oak. The Great Oak.
Yeah, so Scoia'tael, after the nerf that we made to Milva Sharpshooter in 10.1, well, you were talking about the greatest faction. It hasn't really been perceived as such, right? and to be honest,
I agree.
even in terms of data, what we've been seeing is a very slight underperformance compared to the other factions. So we're bringing in a few buffs to try to make it feel a bit better.
Yay!
Yeah. And the first one of these is the Great Hawk, right? 1 power buff, 1 provision buff. So the idea is the Great Hawk was an historic high-hand card for Scoia'tael, and but it kind of fell out of flavor, right? Because it didn't really fit what 13 provision card were anymore in current GWENT. So bringing a 12, we think it might kind of serve as a finisher, and especially kind of compete with the slot that Gezras of Leda has taken in some Scoia'tael decks.
Nice. Really, really good change, and I like that you guys mentioned that, after the Milva change, something needs to be done for Scoia'tael in order to be more viable. And first change, I have to say I like a lot. And then we have 2 more cards that we want to highlight here. Showing them right now. Etriel and Murlega. Provision changes here.
Yeah,
big provision changes.
Big ones, yeah, because both of them are going from 8 to 6. So to be fair, these were cards that we hadn't looked in a long time, right? So re-evaluating them, we think they're going to feel way better.
Oh, for sure. I can tell you already that this is, on paper, this is looking really, really good. And it's not by a little bit. It's actually, it's from 8 to 6 is a considerable change.
Yeah, it's including the combo, it used to cost you 16 provisions. Now it's only going to cost you 12 for provision. Basically reduced by 25%.
Yeah, which is huge. Like I don't think that a lot of people think about it, but it is a lot.
So yeah, and we think it's going to be an interesting, flexible package that the faction can consider running.
Nice. Yeah, I like it a lot. Moving on, when it comes to buffs, these I'm super excited for. So we have something for special related stuff. This is nice. This is also seems like something not very, very big, but I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so to go more in depth in these, so as you said, they are more focused on the kind of special oriented Scoia'tael decks, so stuff like Scoia'tael or oh my god, help me out.
Hand buff?
No, not hand buff.
No, the older ones that play Madoc and the bombs.
Symbiosis. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. How can I forget that? Anyway, so in the case of Salve, the counter going from 3 to 2, we think that it's going to make the card way more attractive, because now reaching its full value is going to be easier, as it requires less effort in each round to try to pull it. It's going to be also more reliable in general. In the case of Francesca, so it's a card that hasn't been really working out since it came out in Price of Power. And we think that the fact that you had to wait for your third special to be copied played a big role in that. And that reducing it to 2 is going to very much lighten the burden. And also that kind of opens up interesting combo, right? Because you can Oniromancy into a special to instantly get that special copied. Yeah. So yeah, we're interested to see how special-driven Scoia'tael can evolve by including Francesca potentially.
Good. All the special spells. I really like Scoia'tael, so hopefully these changes will actually, make them even stronger. And I feel like, the specials that Scoia'tael has and kind of the synergies there are pretty good, but they can be better, and I think they will be better with these changes. Nice. Awesome. Thank you for that one. For all the Scoia'tael players, this is for us. moving on. Syndicate, also a very cool faction. Starts with an S, like the best faction. And I think we're gonna start with some nerfs. What's going on? What's going on with nerfs? And King of Beggars is actually the first one we'll be talking about, so I'll show that.
Yeah, so it's our second month in a row nerfing King of Beggar. The thing is, that self-appointed member for royalty, it keeps terrorizing player, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we're touching it more directly this time, nerfing its power from 3 to 1. We also think that 1 power should be more fitting to the low profile this character is supposed to keep. And we're also accompanying that nerf to King of Vigor with a nerf to Jackpots. And in the case of Jackpots, so we think that the passive that it got, it basically gives it intrinsic value, right? Because there are some combo that you can only do specifically thanks to Jackpot. So we're more comfortable with bringing down without the fear that it's gonna completely disappear. At the same time, the reason we're bringing it down is because we don't like the current situation where it is basically the go-to leader ability for Syndicate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And there is one buff actually.
Yes.
Here, which is a buff to Tribute, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. So off the book, it's going to 4 charges, which means 2 more coins, right? And because 2 more coins is a lot, we're also kind of nerfing the provision, right? We're removing 1 provision from it.
Yeah. But
overall, this is a buff. And the idea is that since we're nerfing Jackpot, we're also trying to give more incentive for the players to try other stuff. And we think that, yeah, this additional charger is going to bring more flexibility.
For
which
sure.
is always nice, right?
Yeah, flexibility is the name of the game. But yeah, also, I think the change to charges itself, we can easily consider this a buff for it. Yeah. Nice, and that rounds off our Syndicate part. We can be moving on to Skellige, and there are some Druid nerfs that we will start off with.
Yeah. So get an F, right? Going from 13 to 14. So Skellige has been perceived as decently strong recently. And we think that a lot of that strength is attributed to the fact that it has many available decks and artifacts that feel playable and nice. And we love that. We really don't want to remove that from them. But out of all of these archetypes, the one that has been performing the best has been Druid and Battle Trance, and notably thanks to the addition to the game of Mushy Truffle. And it felt right that Get an F, which was the last scenario at 13 provision, should join its brothers and sisters at 14.
At 14.
Aside from Masquerade Ball, right, which is still 15. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I feel like this change makes sense, even for like consistency reasons, let alone. Okay, moving on, we have a change to Self Wound, and we have Sigvald here.
Yeah, so Self Wound is the first archetype that we're focusing on this patch. So do you want me to read it?
I will actually read it for you. Whenever this unit is damaged by other abilities, gain bleeding for the same duration instead. Order, damage a unit by the duration of bleeding on self, then purify self. If it was an enemy, damage self by the same amount. If it was an ally, boost self by the same amount. That is quite a mouthful.
Yeah, it is quite a mouthful. I'm sorry. So we addressed Self Wound with the addition to the game of Serious Fearless, right?
Yes.
And now that we can more clearly see the state of the archetype, we want to bring more love to it. So Sigvald used to be this very Pachani card of, on damage by 1 or 2 on order with a cooldown. So we're reworking it to be very close to Self Wound. It's going to be a card that is happy to receive damage, and that is even potentially going to allow you to set up other stuff. And to accompany that, we're also bringing a tweak to Knut.
Knut the Callous. Yes. Zeal Order, damage an allied unit by half of its current power, then damage an enemy unit by the same amount. Berserk 5 at the end of turn. Refresh this ability.
Yeah. So it's pretty much the original ability to add, except now it's on Order Zeal. We also removed the positioning part, so you get to kind of target what you want. But most importantly, now on Berserk, you're going to be able to reuse it. Nice. And so Knut is going to become a very interesting engine for the archetype. And in pair with Sigvald, we think it's going to be two strong enablers that can potentially even act as payoffs.
Nice. Really, really cool. These are kind of big changes. Like both Knut and Sigvald, I think they're gonna enable a lot of cool stuff in the game itself.
I think so too.
Yeah. Last one for Skellige is Tudesach XMen, and also changes to Restore.
Yeah.
So XMen deploy melee, of course, damage a unit by how much it is already damaged. Ooh.
Yeah, so XMen, it's used to destroy an enemy unit if it had been damaged by more than half of its power. So we're keeping the original ID kinda, but we're making it more flexible, and that flexibility opens it for potential use in self-wound. Nice. And with the buff to Restore, we think these are going to be, well, two cheap cards that you can add to your potential game plan.
Nice. Yeah. Provisions from 6 to 5, which makes it even more sweet to play right now. Nice. Loving the changes so far, and we still have 2 more factions to cover, with the next one being Nilfgaard, and we're going to start off talking about spying, with a change to our boy Vatier.
So we're coming back to spying again.
Yay!
I'll let you read the change.
Order, lock an enemy unit. Conspiracy, seize it instead. Nice. 3 power 11
so
provision.
What we're doing here is that we're tying Vatier to spying instead of lock. So our intention with that is not to make... We realize that Vatier is not going to be the key card of spying, right? It's still a very fragile card to play. But we think it makes more sense that way. And in general, the fact that we're moving into spying also means that when you get to pull off that combo, it's going to be way more rewarding. Because now the unit that you're seizing, it's not necessarily locked. So you kind of get to make use of it immediately. Nice.
Yeah, makes total sense. Really cool. Moving on, we have Mangonel.
Yep.
And Emhyrvar Emrace, but let's focus on Mangonel first. So whenever an enemy unit gains spying, damage units adjacent to it by 1. This is really cool.
And in the case of Emir, we're reducing its provision from 11 to 10.
Yeah, and so, Mangonel is 4/4/4, which is super good.
Yeah. So these are gonna be these are kind of main change for the archetype. We think Mangonel can become a very scary engine, where it's gonna reward you for putting spying everything, which is everywhere. I mean, which is something that Emir is very good at. And yeah, it will also allow you to seize more stuff with Emir, this kind of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, love the change. Really cool stuff. Moving on, we have changes to statuses, and we will be starting off with Van Mulchem Servant.
So it's not statuses, but more specifically the archetype of Nilfgaard, which really enjoy playing with statuses.
Exactly. So deploy, copy all statuses from an enemy unit to another enemy unit. Boost self by the number of statuses copied that way. This is really cool, because this is also 4/4/4. It's an engine in some way, but it's for the crazy status archetype. So I think this will like even encourage more players to actually use this one.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that this kind of status archetype, it also plays out potentially with spying, right?
Yeah.
They do share some cards, stuff like First Aim or Vincent van Mollem. And speaking about First Aim, the way Servant interacts with First Aim is that First Aim gets the boost for each status that is copied. So if you had a unit that had like Doomed, Bleeding, Spying, you copy this, you put it on another unit with Servants, your First Aim boosts by 3.
Nice. Really, really cool. And we have to continue with the Van Moelhem theme. We have Philip Van Moelhem as the last one here. Change here is deploy. If you control a vampire, gain Zeal. Order, give Doomed to an enemy unit if it already has a status. Lock it instead if it already has more than one status. Poison it instead. So crazy. Cooldown 1 on this and 6 power, 8 provision. Woo, this is nice.
This is kind of like Sirgvald, where it used to be this card that dealt 1 damage or 2 damage and was on cooldown. So we're reworking it to be something completely different. It's kind of it's one of a kind, right?
It's really
there
cool.
is no card which is able kind of on cooldown to put statuses like this.
And it has a lot of flexibility in terms of like the options that you get from it.
We went for this idea of Philip torturing the same units over and over, right? And slowly bringing him down with Doom, with Luck, and then finally poisoning it to death.
Nice. Wow. Really, really cool. And yeah, that rounds out our changes to the mighty Empire of Nilfgaard. But yeah, I really like the Varmulheim Servant and Philip's change. I think it's gonna give players some new tools to play around with. And like you said, I think it's a mix of statuses plus spying in these decks. So it's gonna be nice. It's everything that Nilfgaard likes, just playing around and doing some wacky crazy stuff. Really, really cool. Okay, and that leaves us with Northern Realms, and let's talk about siege machines to start off.
So we have a massive focus on siege machine coming from Northern Realm. So massive that we're not gonna look at every changes in this video. You'll have to take a look at the patch notes, but we'll talk about the most important one. And to begin with, we have a rework to Resupply.
Yes, we do. Whenever you play a warfare card, reduce this card's cooldown by 1. Okay.
Yeah, so Resupply, it used to be only a condition, right? Whenever you play a warfare card, do this. And in some cards, it indeed reduced the cooldown. So reworking it to be this consistent thing, it allows us in general to kind of shape out Siege Machine better and bring more consistency to the archetype, as well as cooldown synergies. The thing is, Resupply does not fit all of the cards that it used to be on anymore. So we're adding it to a bunch of cards, but also we're reworking a bunch of cards which used to have Resupply. And I think the first that I'd like to talk about is Ardrin.
Of course. Ardrin is one-man crew.
So Ardrin is going to be geared toward helping out for your crew. And he's not the only card that we're working to help out on that matter. To kind of explain what he does specifically, any card with crew that is next to Ardrin is going to have its crew activated regardless of whatever is next to it. If there is any even.
That's really good.
Yeah, because after all, you only need Ardrin to feel like a party anyway.
Nice. Wow, really, 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 really cool change. Yeah, and I think it fits kind of Ardrin. He's there just, one-man crew. Love it. And last one is that we're going to talk about for NR today is Siege Master.
Yeah, so another card that we are gearing toward crew. Well, we should read the ability first.
Yes.
I'll let you go ahead.
When you play a siege engine, summon self from your hand to the right of it, then draw a card. Ooh, draw a card.
Yeah, so it's gonna help you more easily set up your crew in general. And the thing is, since this new ability makes crew effect that were on deploy kind of awkward, we've also take a look at these. So we're not addressing them there, but you can also expect a few changes to cards that used to have crew on deploy.
Nice.
And in general, we think that it's going to help out with the way crew feels in that faction.
Perfect. So that was the last change. Of course, these are only some of them which we chose to highlight in this video. But you guys can check out the patch notes. I'll play GWENT.com. Go to the news section. They'll be there probably same time that this video is airing. So get familiar because patch is coming tomorrow, and also with it, a new journey is coming. Hope everyone is excited for that. We won't be spoiling anything. You have to wait till tomorrow, but there is a beautiful countdown at playgwen.com that might tell you something, although I think it's vague enough that most of you won't guess who this character is. Is it a he or a she? A monster? Who knows? You'll find out tomorrow. And that's it. Any closing statements, Jean?
Well, right now players are probably wondering where is Monster.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's what I was explaining in the beginning of the video. This month we have no changes for Monster.
Okay. So I can still play vampires.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as we say in French, it's only à charge de revanche.
Well, what does that mean? my French is rusty. I don't know.
We'll get back to players for this.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that one. Simply. Cool. Jean, awesome. Thank you for all the hard work on the update. Can't wait to play it the day it comes out. And thank you for coming over and fixing your glasses in order to make it to this video. Highly appreciate the commitment. And yeah, tell the designers to go easy. And I think you guys, keep it civil there. Keep fighting. Gotta keep fighting. Exactly. Gotta keep fighting the good fight, as they say. All right, Jean, was a pleasure. As always, everybody, remember, patch is coming tomorrow. And yeah, that's it from us. And I think we should just wave to the camera and say bye, as always.
See you guys.
See ya.